You are standing at the checkout counter. The person in front of you is taking too long. You open your wallet. You pull out a folded receipt from 3 months ago, a bill you still owe. You unfold it, look at the faded ink, fold it back along the exact same creases, and slide it right next to your only remaining $20 bill. You have done this 3 times this week, not because you are going to pay it right now, but because your hands needed to touch it. You do not even know why you keep it there. You close the wallet. You put it back in your pocket. The weight is still there, not the weight of the leather, the weight of what you are carrying. If this kind of story resonates with you, it is worth clicking subscribe. The algorithm only shows this content to those who signal they want more. And we have many more of these stories to tell. You think it is just clutter. Everyone has a messy wallet, you tell yourself. You see other people pulling out crumpled notes, handfuls of coins, expired coupons, and you think this is just the modern human condition. An expired credit card from a bank account you closed 2 years ago. A torn dollar bill that no store will accept anymore. A piece of paper reminding you of a debt you have not been able to pay. You tell yourself you will clean it out this weekend. But the weekend comes and you do not touch it, because it is not about organization. Your body knew that before your mind did. You carry it like a punishment, a subconscious reminder every single time you reach for your money that you are behind, that you owe, that things are broken. You hear people talk about a money mindset. You read the books. You watch the seminars. You try to think positive thoughts about abundance and wealth, but every single day, physically, right against your body, you are carrying a graveyard. You are holding the energy of loss right next to the energy of provision. There is a reason the money never seems to stay. There is a reason that every time a little extra comes in, some unexpected expense immediately drains it away. You feel like you are leaking provision, and you are, but you are not alone in this. Millions of people walk around with this exact same physical anchor in their pockets, wondering why they can never seem to get ahead, why the exhaustion never leaves them. They blame the economy, they blame their jobs, they blame their own lack of discipline. But they never look at the physical temple of their wealth, the very place where they hold their provision, and ask what else is living inside it. This thing you are feeling, this heavy, stuck sensation every time you look at the mess inside that leather fold. It has a name, and it has a history that goes back thousands of years. What you call a messy wallet. The ancient wisdom traditions called something entirely different. They called it mixing the living with the dead. I remember my mother in Nsukka. We did not have much. The air was always thick with the red dust of the Nigerian roads, and every naira we had was hard-earned. But one thing she was absolutely rigid about was the wooden table where we ate. She would keep the money for the week in a small woven basket, but if a notice came, a debt, a bill to be paid, she would never, ever let it touch that table. She would carry the paper of debt to a completely different room. She told me once, "You do not put the hunger next to the harvest. They cannot live in the same space. One will always eat the other." I thought it was just a quirk, just another one of the old protections she carried from the village, until I went to London to study ancient languages at the School of Oriental and African Studies. Years later, I found myself sitting in an archive room, looking at documents from the Cairo Geniza. These were commercial records from Jewish merchants, preserved in a synagogue storeroom, dating back almost 1,000 years. And as I translated the medieval text, my breath caught in my throat. These master merchants, the ones who built trading empires across the entire Mediterranean, had a strict, unbreakable rule. They kept the records of what they owned physically separated from the records of what they owed. It was not just accounting. It was a spiritual law. They understood that debt is an active force. It is not neutral. It is a consuming fire, and if you place the record of your debt in the same physical space as the record of your wealth, the debt will slowly consume the wealth. You are putting the hunger next to the harvest? My mother knew in the village of Nsuka what the master merchants of Cairo knew 1,000 years ago. King Solomon wrote in Proverbs 22, verse 7, that the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. When you read the ancient commentaries on this, they do not just talk about economics. They talk about the spiritual reality of debt. Debt is a form of bondage. When you keep the symbol of your bondage, the receipt of what you owe, right next to your actual money, you are placing chains on your provision. You are telling the universe that your wealth is captive. And the Hebrew word for money itself reveals this, kesef. It is linguistically tied to the word for longing, for yearning. Money in the biblical structure is not just metal or paper. It is a current of energy connected to human desire and divine provision. It is meant to flow. It is meant to be alive. It is the physical manifestation of breath moving between people. So when you keep 3 specific things in your wallet, you are violating this ancient law of flow. You are choking the life out of your own provision. First, the receipts of debt, the unpaid bills, the credit card statements you cannot clear, the reminders of what you lack. When you keep these touching your cash, you are letting the energy of lack consume the energy of provision. You're telling your subconscious and the spiritual realm that your harvest belongs to the hunger. Every time you open your wallet to pay for something joyful, your eyes brush against the reminder of your bondage. You shrink back. You feel the guilt. You feel the fear. And fear is the ultimate repellent of wealth. Solomon knew this. He knew that a king cannot rule if he constantly surrounds himself with reminders of defeat. Your wallet is your domain. It is the inner sanctum of your financial life. Why are you letting the enemy sleep in the king's chamber? Second, the expired cards and dead identification. We all have them. The driver's license from 10 years ago. The gym membership card from a place that went out of business. The bank card from an account you closed when you moved cities. Why do you keep them? They are identities that no longer exist. They are attachments to a past that is over. Holding on to them in the place where you keep your wealth is a signal of stagnation. You cannot receive the new provision while you are hoarding the dead past. It is like trying to pour fresh water into a vessel filled with stagnant mud. You keep them because a part of you is terrified of letting go of who you used to be. You keep the dead identification because you are not entirely sure who you are right now. But wealth requires presence. Wealth requires you to be fully alive, fully anchored in the current moment. Dead plastic carries dead energy. Take it out. Third, the torn, unusable money. The dollar bill that is so damaged, no one will take it. The coin from a foreign country you visited 5 years ago and will never go back to. Why do you keep it? You keep it out of a fear of loss. You believe that even broken things must be hoarded because nothing new will come. But by holding on to what is broken and useless, you are making a monument to scarcity right in the center of your storehouse. Your wallet is your personal storehouse. In the ancient world, the storehouse was sacred. It was where the harvest was kept safe for the winter. You would never put rotting grain in the storehouse. It would ruin the entire harvest. It would spread the rot to the good wheat. When you keep unusable currency, you're infecting your living wealth with the vibration of poverty. You see, none of this is about being neat and tidy. The physical world is just a mirror of the spiritual world. The way you treat the container of your wealth is the exact way you are treating the wealth itself. You have been treating your wallet like a graveyard, and you have been wondering why nothing living wants to stay there. And let us go deeper into this, because the mind will try to rationalize it. The mind will say, it is just a piece of paper. It is just a receipt from a grocery store. Why does it matter? It matters because human beings are physical creatures. We do not just think our reality, we touch it. We carry it. The ancient sages understood that the physical action is the anchor for the spiritual reality. When you physically separate the debt from the wealth, you are drawing a boundary in the spiritual realm. You are declaring, this far and no further. The debt cannot cross this line. The lack cannot touch the provision. Think about the sheer exhaustion of carrying it all. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you put in your pocket is the physical manifestation of everything that is wrong in your financial life. You carry it to work. You carry it to dinner. You carry it when you hug your children. It is always there, a low-frequency hum of anxiety, disguised as a messy wallet. You have normalized the anxiety so much that you forgot what it feels like to just have a clean space for your provision. I remember reading a specific document in the nichsaf. It was a letter from a merchant in Fustat to his partner in Alexandria. He was furious, not because of a bad deal, but because his partner had sent a letter of debt inside the same pouch as the gold dinars. The merchant wrote back, demanding to know why he would pollute the blessing with the burden. It was unthinkable to them. It was not a matter of convenience. It was a matter of cosmic order. The universe demands order. When you mix the living with the dead, you create chaos. And wealth flees from chaos. Wealth seeks order, clarity, and purpose. And what about the expired cards? Let us look at that again. It is not just plastic. It is an old version of you. The you from 5 years ago who struggled, who accepted less, who did not know your own worth. You keep that ID, that old membership card, because there is a strange comfort in the familiar pain of the past. But the universe cannot give the new blessing to the old you. The new provision requires the new vessel. As long as you are physically carrying the old vessel in your pocket, you are telling the universe to wait. You are saying, I am not ready yet. I am still clinging to the ghost of who I was. Let the ghost go. Cut the plastic. Throw it away. Give yourself the permission to fully inhabit the person you are right now. And the torn money. The illusion of scarcity. You look at that damaged bill and a voice in your head says, what if this is the last one? What if I throw it away and I never get another one? That voice is not yours. That voice is the echo of generational poverty. It is the trauma of ancestors who did not have enough, whispering in your ear to hoard even the broken things. But you are not them. You are here now, learning the laws of the universe. The law of flow dictates that holding on to the broken prevents the arrival of the whole. You have to create a vacuum for the new wealth to enter. By keeping the torn money, you are filling the space with fear. Replace the fear with faith. Throw away the broken currency and watch how quickly the universe rushes in to fill the empty space with something whole, something living, something beautiful. This is not magic. It is alignment. It is bringing your physical habits into perfect alignment with your spiritual desires. You cannot pray for abundance while physically hoarding the symbols of lack. The prayer and the practice must become one. That is the secret of Solomon. That is the wisdom of the nichsaf. That is what my mother knew in Sukkah when she moved the debt away from the table of provision. The shift is small. It takes 5 minutes, but the impact echoes through eternity. Because for the first time, you are not just hoping for a better financial life. You are physically making room for it. You are preparing the storehouse. You are cleansing the temple. You are finally truly ready to receive. You see, the problem with the modern world is that we have separated the material from the spiritual. We think a wallet is just a piece of leather made in a factory. We think money is just paper printed by a government. But the ancients knew better. They knew that everything material is infused with spiritual weight. The wallet is the modern equivalent of the pouch of gold, the treasure chest, the storehouse. It is the most intimate financial object you own. It rests against your body. It absorbs your energy. It carries your sweat, your fears, your hopes. When King Solomon spoke of the borrower being a slave to the lender, he was painting a vivid picture of the ancient world. In his time, if you could not pay your debt, you did not just get a bad credit score. You lost your land. You lost your freedom. You physically became the property of the person you owed. The debt was a chain around your neck. Today, the chains are invisible. They are made of interest rates and late fees and collection calls. But the spiritual reality is exactly the same. You are still in bondage. So why would you carry the symbol of your bondage in the same place where you keep the symbol of your freedom? Your cash is your freedom. It is your ability to choose, to move, to provide. Your debt is your slavery. When you put them together, you are confusing the spiritual realm. You are sending mixed signals to the universe. And the universe responds to clarity. It responds to intention. The reason Jewish families have historically passed down such profound financial wisdom is not because of a secret trick. It is because of a deeply ingrained cultural understanding that the physical and the spiritual are one. The tzedakah box is not just a charity box. It is a physical training ground for the soul. It teaches the hand to open. It teaches the mind to release. It breaks the physical reflex of hoarding. When you keep a messy wallet, your physical reflex is to hide. You open it quickly, you grab what you need, and you snap it shut, hoping no one saw the mess. You are ashamed of your own storehouse. How can wealth flow into a place that brings you shame? It cannot. Wealth flows toward appreciation. It flows toward order. It flows toward respect. When you clean out your wallet, when you throw away the dead receipts and the expired cards, you are showing respect to your provision. You are saying, I value what I have been given. I honor the harvest. I have prepared a clean, worthy space for the blessing to reside. This is the turning point. This is the moment you stop treating your financial life as a series of accidents and start treating it as a sacred practice. The messy wallet was just a symptom. The real disease was the belief that you did not deserve a clean, powerful, ordered life, but that belief was a lie. You deserve the order. You deserve the clarity. You deserve the freedom. Think about the physical sensation of a perfectly organized wallet. Just the cash, crisp and aligned. The cards you actually use, clean and ready. Nothing else. When you open it, there is a feeling of lightness. There is a feeling of control. That feeling is not just psychological, it is energetic. You are literally holding a lighter vibration. You have removed the dense, heavy energy of the past and the debts, and you are left with the pure, humming energy of possibility. That is what kesef means. The longing, the yearning, the flow. It is the energy of potential waiting to be directed by your will. Do not smother that potential under a pile of old grocery receipts and expired gym cards. Free it. Let it breathe. Let it move. The wisdom of Nsuka, the records of the Geneza, the Proverbs of Solomon, they are all pointing to this one simple, profound truth. You are the master of your storehouse. You decide what gets to live there. Choose the living. Evict the dead. The chains are broken the moment you decide to throw them away. Let us pause and look at the silence that follows this realization. It is a very specific kind of silence. It is the silence of an old, heavy machine finally being turned off. For years, your subconscious has been running this machine, constantly processing the anxiety of the clutter, constantly defending against the reminders of debt. And now, just by deciding to remove them, the machine powers down. You can actually hear yourself think. You can actually feel the space around you expanding. This is what happens when you stop fighting the spiritual laws and start aligning with them. The resistance drops. The friction disappears. The energy that you were using to suppress the shame of the messy wallet is now available to you to create, to build, to attract. You have literally reclaimed a piece of your own life force. And what will you do with that life force? The tradition tells us exactly what to do. You give it. You direct it outward. That is the magic of the tzedakah box. It is not about how much you give. It is about the physics of the flow. A stagnant lake becomes toxic because water comes in but never goes out. A river remains pure because the water is constantly moving. Your financial life must be a river, not a lake. When you place a coin in the tzedakah box, or when you set aside a specific bill in your newly cleaned wallet for the purpose of giving, you are breaking the dam. You are telling the universe, I am not afraid of running out because I know the source is infinite. I can let this go because I know more is coming. This is the ultimate defeat of the poverty mindset. It is not defeated by hoarding millions. It is defeated by the willingness to freely give a single coin. So the challenge is set before you. The ancient wisdom has been laid out. The records of the Geniza have spoken across 1,000 years. The voice of Solomon echoes through the centuries. And the quiet, unyielding wisdom of a mother in Nasuka stands as the final witness. The truth is undeniable. You cannot mix the hunger with the harvest. You cannot keep the living with the dead. Close your eyes for a second. Think about what is in your pocket right now. The folded papers, the old cards, the lint, the mess. And for the first time, you do not feel ashamed. You do not feel like a failure. You feel a sudden piercing clarity. The fog is lifting. Go back for a second to that checkout counter, that folded receipt you keep looking at and putting back. Now you know you were not just being disorganized. You were physically acting out a spiritual battle you did not even know you were fighting. You were holding on to the chains because no one ever told you that you were allowed to drop them. You were doing the best you could with the understanding you had. But the chains do not belong in the storehouse anymore. If this understanding has shifted something inside you today, if it has lifted a weight you have carried for years, consider leaving a super thanks. It is not just about supporting this work. It is an act of reciprocity. It is a way of saying that this ancient wisdom still matters, that these truths need to keep being spoken in a world that has forgotten them. You are not just a viewer. You are part of bringing this light forward. The next time you stand at that checkout counter, it will be different. You will open your wallet, and there will be no folded receipt of a past due bill. There will be no expired identity card staring back at you. There will only be the clean, clear space of your current provision, and you will feel it. A profound, deep-seated peace. The peace of a storehouse that is in perfect order. The peace of a person who has finally learned how to carry their wealth without carrying their bondage. The algorithm brought you here for a reason. The universe does not waste its breath. You heard this today because today was the day you were ready to let go of the graveyard in your pocket. Today was the day you were ready to step into the flow. The old chapter is closed. The dead things are gone. What comes next is entirely up to you. But I can tell you this. The space you have cleared will not stay empty for long. The universe abhors a vacuum, and when you create a clean space, the blessing rushes in to fill it. Get ready for the rush. Get ready for the flow. The storehouse is open. When you remove the dead things, you must replace them with a living intention. Tomorrow morning, take everything out. Throw away the receipts of debt. Destroy the expired cards. Remove the unusable money. And then place one coin or one bill specifically set aside to be given away. Watch what happens to the energy in your life when you stop carrying your bondage and start carrying your blessing. Tell me the truth. When you open your wallet today, what is the first piece of dead weight you are going to take out and throw away? Write it in the comments. We read every single one. The ancient scribes understood this reality. They did not separate their files just for the sake of administration. They separated their files because words have power. The word for debt in ancient Hebrew carries the connotation of a heavy load. a burden that presses down on the soul. The word for wealth carries the connotation of expansion, of widening, of bringing space into the world. You cannot have expansion and compression in the exact same physical space without one neutralizing the other. You are living a neutralized life. You are working hard, you are striving, you are trying to expand, but your pocket is completely filled with compression. Every time you try to rise, the anchor pulls you back down. But the anchor is an illusion. The receipt from 3 months ago has no power over you. The expired card is just a piece of plastic. The torn dollar bill is just paper. The only power they have is the power you give them by allowing them to reside in your temple of provision. The moment you strip them of that position, the moment you physically cast them out, they revert to being nothing, and you revert to being everything. You reclaim your authority over your own life. This is the transition from slavery to sovereignty. A slave does not control his own storehouse. A sovereign king does. Solomon was a king who understood the spiritual mechanics of sovereignty. He knew that the external reality is a direct reflection of the internal state. If you want to change your financial destiny, you do not just change your thoughts. You change your physical habits. You change the way you interact with the material world. You stop treating your wallet like a trash can and start treating it like a sacred vessel. Think about the implications of this. It means you are not at the mercy of the economy. It means you are not bound by the financial mistakes of your past. The debts you owe do not define you. They are just records. Keep them in a drawer. Keep them in a file cabinet. Deal with them, pay them, be responsible, but do not carry them against your body. Do not let them touch the money you are using to build your future. Separate the past from the present so that the future can finally arrive. It is a profound act of self-love to clean out that leather fold. It is a declaration that you deserve better. It is a statement to the spiritual realm that you have learned the lesson of the Geniza. You have heard the wisdom of Nsuka, and you are ready to apply it. The universe is waiting for you to make the move. The blessing is queued up, waiting for the space to be cleared. So clear it. Clear it today. Clear it right now, and watch the floodgates open.